morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the pivot that I'm making in my business and kind of call myself out on the change in my content and in the direction that I'm going, and kind of share with you guys where I've been for the past couple weeks. And so, as you may have noticed, I am starting to shift gears into more of an intuitive eating, food freedom approach to nutrition, because I firmly believe that that is the healthiest way to live and the healthiest way to eat. And so a couple months ago, as you know, I was gluten-free back in June, and I've been gluten-free since then. And while I still allowed myself to have anything that I wanted, I kept a gluten-free diet. And then back in December, I started dabbling in lower carb eating, because I really wanted to go longer between meals, and I felt frustrated having to snack every few hours, and I just wanted to control my hunger a little bit. And going down that rabbit hole of eating lower carb and trying to figure out if I was low enough carb to kind of help with my hunger curve, and all of those things got me into the science of keto, intermittent fasting, low carb diets, which if it works for you, great, that's fine. That there is a small percentage of the population, like I've mentioned before, the keto diet is great if it works for you. But it started getting me down that rabbit hole again of restrictive eating, stressing out over baked goods, stressing out over chips, salsa, some of my favorite foods that I talk about so much on here. I started stressing out about those foods, and I realized that basically I had to nourish and free myself. I had to do what I do to many of my clients, to myself. And I asked myself, is this diet stressing me out more than it is adding to my life? And are the health benefits worth it? And my answer was no. I was under so much stress. Now with COVID-19, work has been incredibly stressful. And so I decided that I was done. I was done with restriction. I was done with focusing so much on food, and I really wanted to tap back into my intuitive eater. We're all born as intuitive eaters. Babies know when they're hungry, stop when they're full. Even Emma has such a good way of regulating herself, where if she has, pizza at lunch, she will go down on like broccoli and beef at dinner. Like she knows what she needs. She knows that balance deep inside, and we all have that intuitive eater inside of us that often gets ruined by the world, by comments, by diets, by thinking that you need to eat X amount of food to be healthy. And so even as a dietitian who helps women find food freedom, I found myself back in those kind of mindsets, and thank God I caught it in time, because usually those mindset leads me to binge eating and like months of spiraling down that dark hole, which if you struggle with emotional eating or binge eating, you know how it feels like you can never get out and you're stuck forever. And I started feeling those thoughts coming into my head again, and I knew immediately that I had to stop. I nourished and freed myself. I asked myself what was worth it. And to be honest, I started eating gluten again. I felt fine. I don't know if my gut needed some healing or I just needed some time, but I feel great. I feel great eating all of the foods that I've been eating, and I am feeling so freaking passionate about bringing this to my clients, because I firmly believe that the health benefits of a super clean diet are not worth the mental stress if it is mentally stressing you out. Like I said, some people thrive on keto, thrive on vegan, whatever restrictions they put on themselves. But for most of us, restriction leads to binging. Restriction, any form of diet, if you look at research in the literature, most people that end up being overweight actually got triggered by a diet to begin with. The diet triggers restriction, and the only physiological response to starvation is to eat, because your body is like, hello, feed me, I'm hungry. So that is what I want to help women break. I want to help women break that restriction. And I heard this amazing analogy. So what I preach is that the minute you put a foods off limit, that's all you want. And a lot of people think that they could never be an intuitive eater because, oh, then I would just go crazy. Then I would just eat all the food. Then I would, have no self-control. And it's just not true. So for example, I know someone who used to work at a bagel shop, and when she first started working at the bagel shop, she would have a bagel a day, sometimes 2 a day. She loved the bagels, the smell of the bagels, the yeast, the bagel rising, all of it. Within like a month, I asked her, I was like, oh my gosh, you must be like so enjoying all the bagels at this bagel shop. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of it. I don't think I ever want to look at another bagel again. I'm over it. And that is just our body's response to when you bring the food back into your life that's been off limits, a lot of times we will eat more of it. But the minute that we kind of take away that power that the food has over us, because it's been this forbidden food, the minute we take away that power, it doesn't faze us anymore. We might eat it a couple days in a row, and then we're just like, okay. cool. Like now I'm craving a salad, or now I'm craving some chicken or whatever. And so that is the premise of intuitive eating, is really honing back in to your intuition and trusting your body. So many of us do not trust our bodies, so we look to external rules. We look to a low carb, we look to macros, we look to Weight Watchers, we look to calorie counting, we look to external cues to tell ourselves how to nourish ourselves, instead of trusting our innate body and the way that God created us to function. And so that is why you will see a change in my content. And if it's not for you, that's fine. Feel free to unfollow. But I'm going to be talking a lot more about food freedom, about intuitive eating, about trusting yourself, about how all foods fit, about how to find that nourished and free lifestyle that you want, how to nourish yourself fully, body, mind, and soul, and live in freedom, regardless of the number on the scale. And so with that said, that is why I'm taking one-on-one clients right now with my 45-minute strategy calls. They're just one-time calls. They're not my usual 3-month nutrition coaching, which I will be revamping as well to more of the intuitive eating approach. But for now, I'm doing the 45-minute strategy calls to help you kind of break free from that diet binge cycle. So many of us fall into that trap, right? We'll diet, and then we'll overeat because we're hungry, and then we're like, oh, I guess I need that diet again. The diet never served you to begin with. The diet is what caused the overeating to begin with. And so that is what I'm going to help women find, that free life that they so desire, taking care of themselves, body, mind, and soul. And that doesn't mean we just throw nutrition out the window, throw self-care out the window. That's not what intuitive eating is. It's about actually just honing back in to how God created you to function, and learn how to feed yourself again, because we often unlearn what God created us to do. And so that is where I'm going. That is kind of like my direction right now, my passion. And I am so grateful that I honed back into that skill as an intuitive eater, instead of going down that rabbit hole again of dieting and restriction, because that just never served me. It doesn't serve 99% of the people that I know. And so that is the direction I'll be going with this page, with Nourished and Free, and I'm super, super excited about it. And again, it aligns so well with my philosophy of being nourished and free. I want us to learn how to nourish ourselves, body, mind, and soul, and live in freedom, so that we are not chained by diets and rules and restriction. And so if that interests you, if that intrigues you, if you want to know a little bit more, I am offering those 45-minute one-on-one strategy calls. I actually have one set up for tomorrow morning. 45-minute strategy calls, they're $97. We will hop on a Zoom call, and we will kind of figure out action steps and intentional goals to get you one step closer to that life of freedom that you so desire. So I'm really, really excited about that. And yeah, I hope this inspired you to kind of reevaluate your eating choices, your relationship with food, and see if you need a little bit more freedom into your life. And I would love it if you DM'd me, asked me any questions, comment below if anything resonated with you. And happy Friday. I will chat with you later.